Good. Okay. Call the work session to order. It's October 16th and 4 o'clock, and I'll turn it over to you, sir. We have a presentation on our new zoning and code laws.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, thank you for taking
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for coming up.
Oh.
This is awesome.
Taking time out of your meeting to get this overview, and as the monitor warms up, actually, I'll move that.
Andrew, maybe one light off
Sure.
or two over there? Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Sure. Now you're gonna have to.
You guys are sitting on it?
Should be able to help us to.
Yep.
Yep, all right. All right, great. Give everybody a couple minutes, so. Should I turn this on or?
It should be.
There's no off, it's not.
Oh, it's ready, okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Rogers. I'm a senior planner with Bella Associates. We have been working with the city since March of 2023 to update city's land use laws. And tonight I wanted to provide, about a half an hour overview of kind of the main changes and new chapters in the code and how we pulled it all together. Just to kind of give you a general overview. Obviously, 300+ page document. Sent it out last night, provided everybody a draft today. We do have a public workshop, public meeting scheduled for next Thursday that we'll roll it out to the public. Obviously, today it's open to the public as well, but this begins the process of conveying the draft document to everybody, and then eventually the adoption process. So over a 2.5 year period, not 3 years, we've had more than 15 full pack meetings. That's the committee that was established. And as you would expect, over that time period, we had some people fall off the committee, had other responsibilities, etc. But since the get-go, we instituted a small working group. We've had over 40+ sessions. Half of those, our staff came up, sit down with the city in this room, did all-day workshops to go through the changes. And then the last 8 months or so, we've been doing it online, just a little bit more efficient. We've had 3 public workshops, 2 council updates, multiple stakeholder meetings, various groups throughout the city. Did a full analysis of the existing codes to find out where they were falling short with respect to the comprehensive plan. Some online surveys, and then of course multiple draft articles that we worked through with the full committee as well as the small work. And I will take a moment to thank Richard Bartlett, who now is working in Vermont. I was sad to see her go, but Andrew and his team, Emily, as well as Kyle and Jim and the building department have been tremendous resources for us. They know the code, existing code forward and backwards. I don't know, I'll just mention a location, exactly where it is in the city and what's going on with it. So without them, this wouldn't have been possible to get to where we are today. So again, the city wanted to create what's called a unified ordinance. It's looking at kind of the 3 major land use laws within the city's chapter and bring them into one code to make it a little bit more efficient, clean up some of the inconsistencies, make it easier to navigate. So that includes, of course, chapter 360, the zoning, subdivision, and then the flood development law. The existing code, existing zoning was fully revised back in 2001. Then it's undergone numerous updates, which is very typical for any community. as things arise, new types of projects. You find some inconsistencies in the law, you go through and you make those changes, but over, a period of, now 24 years. Those inconsistencies create some interpretation issues and other, aspects that, are common when you just start making changes throughout the code, not look at it holistically, so. Also, the area and bulk controls, meaning how many units you can have, how tall things are, et cetera, have become a bit outdated. And really lacks historical context, and I'll explain what that means as we move forward. So the two key documents that really set this process in motion was the comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2023, right just before, or it actually just after we began this process rather, and then 2022 housing report. At that point, and still today, access to quality housing remains a challenge throughout the state, obviously the entire country, and these documents really kind of gave us our marching orders with respect to kind of looking at ways to adjust the density of the city. So when we look through the comprehensive plan is the city's roadmap. It should be used to guide policy making within the city, seeking funding, but first and foremost, what the first thing you do is update your land use laws. So we went through that, identified over 35 code-related recommendations and objectives with respect to utilizing or repurposing underutilized properties, increasing access to housing, streamlining development reviews, but without the safety importance of mitigating impacts on character, and neighborhood, and desired development patterns. So we took these recommendations in here and we began the process of updating the code. It's hidden there, but the 2021 bike friendly report also was something that we looked at and wanted to integrate into the code. The city had adopted a complete streets resolution. It was probably back early 2020s or so, some time ago, and that's the first step really that the municipality adopts a resolution that basically says, going forward, any major street improvements, new streets or development projects that impact the streetscape, we want the streetscape to be revitalized into a certain type of development. So whether it's bike lanes, wider sidewalks, street furnitures, whatever the case may be, the bike friendly report provide the city, that's the city's kind of long-term plan for making these pedestrian and bicycle improvements throughout the city. So that's integrated into this, but we also created a separate section called the complete street section. So in the housing report, what that did is it recommended potential zoning updates that would increase opportunities for affordable housing, specifically discussed inclusionary housing or incentive housing. I'll talk about that in a minute. Reduce or eliminate off-street parking minimums. We are not eliminating them, but we identified a few ways to reduce them in certain instances and provide more flexibility for the planning board and the planning staff to reduce those if the conditions warrant. Allow for multifamily housing for at least 2, 3, and 4 family housing by right. Of course, allow for accessory dwelling units. Right now, you do have accessory apartments, but there's a significant number of restrictions that come with that, like it can never be, it has to be written into the deed and removed if the owner moves, and obviously that's a non-starter. So if someone's going to put the investment into making it ADU, it's not going to be a temporary use. Permit more than one principal structure or use per lot, which is critical, particularly in the city with limited space to grow. And embracing what's called missing middle income, which is really duplex, 3-family dwellings, and 4-plexes. Because right now in the city, you either get a single family, 2-family, or multifamily, which is 3 and above. And lumping them all into multifamily can slow things down, and our approach, we're hoping that it provides a little bit more flexibility. So the key articles, many of which I'll go over today quickly, are the zoning district changes. There's a map here by the door that shows a lot of the changes that we're proposing. The overlay districts for the zoning map, the permitted use table, which is at the end of this tract, it's at the very end of the document, along with all the maps. Adjustments to site plans, special use permit, historic preservation. Like I said, we brought in the subdivision and land regulations, but we also provided straightforward processes for lot line adjustments as well as lot combinations. Right now, that's not really written into the code. And the planning board and the city's planning staff just kind of uses a procedure, but now we're suggesting you codify that, make it a lot simpler for property owners that just need to make some minor adjustments. Parking loading, the P and D, I don't have a second slide on that, but we took the P and D process, revised that, brought it up to speed, so it's much more predictable, and it ensures that any type of project that seeks a P and D approval provides multiple public benefits. So land unit development basically allows the landowner to rezone the property to a specific type of project. Where without that, that would be called spot zoning, and it's illegal. So the PUD is an accepted approach. General city law gives the municipality the ability to develop those laws. So we revise your existing law until it's much more predictable, and it ensures the city is provided with public benefits. The complete streets, like I mentioned, and then the citywide design guidelines. So the zone changes. There's 17 separate zoning changes, but within that, there's well over 100 parcels that are involved. And on that map on the screen and over there, and next Thursday, I'll bring a larger map that shows these changes. And as we move through the process, particularly through the environmental review and more detailed analysis, we have all of the parcels that are proposed to be rezoned, so everybody is checked to see if the parcels are being rezoned and what that means, and of course, be here next week. And going forward to answer any of those questions as to what that means. Some of the big ones were the residential historic district, R1 and R2, the Reeves Lane, which is number 16, bottom left, that bright green color, that's the property the city annexed a few years ago. And then we kind of adjusted some district names and added some new ones, so I'll talk about those next. So number 6 through 9, so this is residential historic, the RH district. This is the area in which there's multiple historic districts within that area. Right now, only single family homes are allowed, accessory apartments are allowed, but as I mentioned before, restrictions placed on them pretty much nullifies their effectiveness. And the city took a long time looking at this district, and the reason why is because this is one of the main obvious set of neighborhoods that are right off downtown. It has the historic districts and a lot of very large homes that maintaining them as single family homes be very expensive, it's inefficient, etc. We did an analysis, and even though it's a single family zoning district now, there are multiple 2, 3, 4 multifamilies throughout the district. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we preserve the existing character, and we did update the historic regulations to make them more efficient, predictable, and I think will better protect the historic districts under the current regulations. One of the big changes we did here is number 6. Is to take all those parcels that front on Broad Street, many of which are not conforming, meaning that wouldn't be allowed if they were proposed today in the RH district. Multifamily, 3 and 4 family, commercial uses, etc. So what we decided to do is extend the R2 zone to grab all those parcels, make those properties conforming, bring them in so it would encourage redevelopment and investment by the property owners, whereas now they're kind of really they're limited what they can do because they're not common uses. And then provide additional opportunities for that corridor to grow and serve the needs of that corridor. As opposed to just leaving them stagnant, which the current code is essentially doing. Number 7, so that's the intersection of Brinkerhoff and William, that includes Zeus Deli, some student housing, multifamily, the laundromat, chuck wagon, a few others. Commercial uses, which again are non-conforming into the current code. They were built and opened prior to the current zoning. What we wanted to do is preserve those as important neighborhood services, whether they continue as is or are allowed to, or new uses that come in to serve that neighborhood. So that was important for us. We did that for the entire city, and this was really one of the few locations where we found these type of neighborhood businesses that needed to be protected going forward. And then number 8, which is now proposed to be the urban connector zone. Again, that's currently RH, but that's the Oak Street corridor that's just across the street from Central Business District. It includes the Y, various other commercial uses, offices, does include the historic districts. But looking at those existing uses, we felt it was wise to bring that in to a little bit higher intensity type use to allow those uses to continue. And provide additional opportunities to redevelop, but also protect the historic character, but provide a nice segue into the central business district. So a little bit more intense use, but it blends well with the taller structures and higher density in the central business district. And then the one last one to the right, number 9. So to the north of Bridge Street, there's a handful of parcels there just before you get to the parking lot. That's associated with the train station. That one is currently B1, I believe, which allows for a mix of commercial and residential, but we felt that given the ability for infill development there, that we bring the central business district zone over to there to expand the central business district to allow for additional density, higher development, that takes advantage of views of the lake as well as the river. We thought that was important to bring that across the river there. Next slide, please. So this is a map of all the overlay districts. So next one, we'll start to dive into those real quick. So the industrial flex, this is a long one. We may reduce this. It's a long name. But the extension overlay to the north. So that's all existing industrial zone land. And as you know, you have some retail uses there that have historically been there, but it's in industrial, which again are somewhat non-conforming uses, and the city has approved these uses over the years or expansion. But what we felt is let's just make it clean, that allow these uses to continue, new commercial uses that can go in. But at the same time, it's an overlay district, so it's preserving the industrial uses underneath. So it does not prohibit the use of the properties for industrial uses, just provides a little bit more flexibility. So we had long conversations of, let's just take this little couple parcels out of the industrial district, but a city generally doesn't have industrial zones. If you look at most cities, Plattsburgh's different, and we want to preserve those as much as we can. So this was a unique way to preserve that and allow the commercial uses. The French Quarter Overlay District, that's in purple. That's in a series of neighborhoods where the lots are really small. The setbacks are all non-conforming, meaning for the most part, none of them meet the setbacks, whether it's a 10-foot setback, a lot of them 5 feet, very narrow driveways, very narrow streets. And it's primarily the R2 zoning district, I believe. And what we wanted to do is, again, preserve the underlying zoning, but here we're allowing for the bulk standards to be adjusted. So people aren't having to come and get area variances just to put a deck on or a small extension. Recognizing that these lots are very small and that's not going to change anytime soon. So this again was a way to provide the residents with a little bit more flexibility and reduce the need for area variances the CBA and city staff to address those. The hospitality overlay district, that's the green parcel, which is the old Elks Club. That one, again, so this is R1, so it's pretty much the most restrictive zoning district when it comes to uses density. As you know, that building was used for events for many years, and it has now changed hands a few times. That use is now extinguished. It's no longer been used as a wedding center, or Ducks Club, or a public use type like that, or commercial use. So that use can be restarted. What we wanted to do, we spent a lot of time on this, is provide a way in which this could allow for hospitality type uses going forward. And I think it has another slide that gets that detail. Okay, I'm sorry, you can just go back to that, I guess I didn't, yeah, imagine that. So what that allows for, and then maybe in a future slide, but essentially boutique hotels nowadays, not so much, but allow for the reuse of that structure. Very limited, no ability to demolish that under this review. If somebody wanted to go and demolish that now, they could. Cost a lot of money. Put up a nice home, but we recognize that there are buildings like this throughout the city that past use doesn't really align with the current zoning. We recognize that this could be an important reuse of that structure, but it would require a special use permit, and there's a variety of restrictions that would go along with that. Including soundproofing and outdoor dining, maintaining the current setbacks, hours of operation, limited number of events during the summer. Which would involve outside events, right? You want to take advantage of the use. But we also want to protect the neighborhood, adjoining properties, so we provided this overlay use to do that. And then the J Street overlay. We'll get to that next, because I think I do have a slide for that, so go ahead and. Right, and then two more districts of the multifamily adaptive reuse, so that's the corner of Dennis and Tremblay, yes, yeah, so that's the existing Church of Latter-day Saints, and we're not picking on any, building or religious use, but over the years, religious organizations, schools, for whatever reason, the buildings become vacant, they move, they upgrade, whatever the case may be, and in addition to the hospitality one, this is the other zone, other building that we felt, if the situation arises where they do close, and it's not reopened for the uses that are allowed there, which are fairly limited in that zoning district, we wanted to allow for multifamily to go in there. And that's a fairly common trend nowadays, particularly for schools or religious buildings, is to adapt those into multifamily. That would not be allowed in the current zone, and the overlay district does provide very specific protections in terms of setbacks, number of units that could be proposed there. Again, would have to go through a special use permit process. The last one is the Wall Street residential overview. So that's the corner of Main Mill in Wall Street. That's existing industrial. Again, we had that same conversation. Just change it to residential, but the reasons why decisions are made in the past to zone areas, industrial or other districts, because eventually over time, the uses will succeed and the industrial uses could take over, because that was the long range plan for the city. That can continue. Obviously, this is an overlay district, but again, what we wanted to do here is to provide some flexibility to the property owners, because their use as a residential as a home is not allowed. So any type of project they want to do, put a deck on and it expand within reason, is hamstrung, requires ZBA review. Sometimes it's not even permissible. So we wanted to, recognizing that this is a very affordable part of the city, older homes, smaller homes, we wanted to give them a little bit of flexibility. It doesn't allow for new subdivisions or anything like that without zoning board approval, but it gives flexibility so that everybody doesn't have to. ZBA allows these minor additions, and people can continue to live in this part of the city But it's still zoned industrial, so as the house becomes vacant for more than a year, that use is extinguished, and then going forward, that used for industrial purposes. Okay, next slide. So this was the J Street overlay. So this is the area in which you have those existing warehouses. For the most part, they haven't really been in active use. I think they are, used for storage, but it's not really an official type use there. Nothing's really operating out of there at the moment, at least that I'm aware of at this point. And having lived in the city, not too far from this location, this was an area I walked past every day. I always wondered, what's going on here? It'd be great if something can happen here. We would have great views of the lake. It's right next to the train station, the harbor, etc. So again, the approach that the city committee took was to create an overlay district that would encourage motels, or rather hotels and boutique hotels, small resort, etc. Allow for up to 4 stories. The 4th story would have to be stepped back 10 feet. So it would not be as imposing of a structure to pedestrians and everybody on that street. And that would also provide some outdoor seating and areas that would improve the attractiveness of those developments. Other specific requirements, special use permit would have to be required. Architecture needs to be compatible because it's right next to the storage district, which is just on the other side of the street. Require quality architecture and integrate lake views. The buildings have to be up closer to the street, so the parking's hidden in the back or to the side, and all the parking wouldn't have to be screened. And through this process, it really encourages whoever develops this property to extend the bike lane a little bit farther, connect it back into the parking or the existing sidewalk there. Just provide another opportunity for infill development that respects the character of that neighborhood. So another step that we've been taking to try to incentivize good growth and redevelopment of long-standing vacant unutilized sites. So now we're going to talk about some of the procedures that have changed. So for site plan, right now, there's just a site plan. If you need to do a development and you look at the use table and it says a site plan is required, goes to the planning board. What we introduced is two-tiered approach. So a major site plan still goes to the planning board. A minor site plan initially goes to the city planner as an administrative review. We took great time to identify those types of uses. So these are just examples. So 3 or 4 families would need minor site plan, offices, restaurants, small scale retail, as well as there's probably a dozen or so in the use table. But the intent here is that it's a use that's basically allowed by right, but need a little bit of guidance to make sure that setbacks or the buildings are properly planned. Architecture is looked at perhaps, but for the most part, wouldn't be a complicated project, and they could review it. However, at any point, for any reason, the city planner feels like, there's just something kind of wacky about this, or it's too difficult. We need to pick it up with the planning board or to go to the planning board. So it still reserves the right for the planning board to review these minor site plans. But the idea here is that it provides a more streamlined approach. Obviously, it adds to the amount of work that the city planner has, but the idea here is that it reduces some of the planning board agenda requirements, and provides incentives really for applicants to add additional housing, occupy a storefront for a small scale retail or office or restaurant, whatever the case may be, and they don't have to go through multiple planning board meetings, public hearings, etc. And then the major site plan, obviously, that still is in the hands of the planning board. And the special use permits, the main thing that's changed about those is we're recommending that review authority shifts from the ZBA, the zoning board of appeals, to the planning board. And in the current process is kind of a holdover from say 20 or plus years ago, where Special uses were introduced as like special exception uses, like the next step, down from like say a use variance and. A lot of communities felt the zoning board was better equipped to handle that. Not saying that they aren't, or they have been doing a good job, but that requires two boards to be reviewing one project unnecessarily. So we felt like, let's bring it over to the planning board, have conversations with some planning board members, the zoning board members, no issues. Nobody had any problems with that. Obviously, this whole code, will take some time for everybody to get adjusted to it. But we felt that again, increases the efficiency of the whole process and then keeps it within one board unless a variance is required, which again, so would go to the CBA. Next slide, please. And then historic preservation, so the code, the existing section, 360-32 historic sites. Has been doing a great job. But the city really wanted to expand upon this, provide a little bit more guidance. Also break it down into major and minor, so a minor application would be really basic. In-kind replacements, ADA improvements, or putting in a ramp, whatever the case may be, HVAC, or minor rehabilitation involving the exterior of the structure. But again, just like with the minor site plan, if there's something that the city planner felt like, I really need the planning board to look at this, they can refer it up to that, but they can also have a conversation, just like now with planning board chair, the historian, whatever the case may be on that. And then the major improvements, new construction, demolition, removal, significant alterations, or any other project involving a historic district that requires a special use permit or major site plan, they'll go to the planning board. And the other changes that we made in this is that we have a much more, well, now we have a very specific appeal process when it comes to economic hardships, because maintaining and repairing historic structure is not cheap. And obviously trying to maintain the historic character, whether it's materials, architectural design, etc., can have some issues, and we wanted to have a very clear appeals process where the planning board can look at it from an economic perspective. And if that is denied, then the applicant still has a relief to go to the ZBA and get relief there. But the process is much more organized, and it still relies on the historic preservation, Secretary of Historic Preservation guidance document. That hasn't changed. That's been codified and included in care now. So that we're very happy with the way that came out, and hopefully it's a much more efficient process for it. Parking and loading. So as I mentioned before, we didn't get rid of parking requirements, obviously, but we introduced not only the minimums, which are existing. So like, if you have a restaurant, you have 10 tables, you need 10 parking spaces, for example, right? For simplification, but we also introduced what's called maximum. So sometimes developers like to put in as much parking as they possibly can, which decreases the impervious area, requires more snow storage, not the most economical, as well as environmental, adds to the heat island effect. And what we wanted to do is make sure that there was a specific maximum, so that applicants know right off the bat that if you want to go beyond that, you need to provide a parking demand study to be able to justify the need for those additional spaces. The planning board can now adjust the parking requirements through demand analysis. Shared parking guidance, so there are situations where there's maybe multiple uses within a piece of property or adjacent properties, and as opposed to constructing more parking spaces, which is again the problems with that, is to allow for shared parking agreements. So there's some guidance in the document now that planning board and applicants can use to come up with an approach that ensures there's going to be enough parking, but also allows for applicants to reduce the amount of parking that they are required to provide. Electric vehicle charging stations are now included in that, and there's a kind of a bonus. So for every charging station that's proposed in a development that requires 30 or more spaces. You, two less spaces that you have to provide. So again, it's incentivizing putting charging stations, including for large mixed use developments with residential and commercial. Looking to reduce the number of parking and provide services that tenants. And then bicycle parking guidelines. These are guidelines, it's not requirements, so there's some requirements in there. Depending upon the use, it provides guidance to the planning board and to the city planner and applicants on the number of bicycle parking infrastructure, bike racks, et cetera, that should be provided in different types, whether they're so if it's a residential development or multi-purpose type development, you can have indoor bicycle parking, different types of standalone type shelter. It's okay, complete streets, as I mentioned before, so this again started with an initial resolution by council years ago, and then the bike friendly report adopted in 2021, and the comprehensive plan specifically said, we need to integrate these streets into the code. And basically, in a nutshell, it's creating a safe, convenient, comfortable environment for everybody, not just automobiles, but pedestrians, transit, bicycles, even say the scooters and everything else that's out there now, which is, every community is trying to get their handle on that and how that is regulated. But the idea here is that we look at a street that provides transportation for every type of mode of transportation. And through this process, each street is categorized. Now, we didn't categorize each and every street that be efficient, but basically what we identified is examples of what a downtown commercial street is, neighborhood mixed use, neighborhood local type street. And as the project was proposed, whether it's a complete renovation of a street by the city, development on the corner, or a lot or two in which they are impacting the street, the review process will require them to provide, make sure they provide a minimum amount at least, and then it's up to the planning board to determine, and it's going to be project by project, the extent in which they provide the bike lanes, and they'll probably refer to the bike friendly plan as a guidance document there. Street trees, street furniture, which is basically your trash receptacles, benches, other types of furniture. A unique one is in Schenectady, where they have that's a shelter in an area for like elevated seating, just right within their downtown, which is a unique thing. Would come and sit and eat their lunch and eat their lunch, etc. So it provides a variety of recommendations on how to improve the streetscape based upon that project. And it's a fairly detailed set of regulations, and I encourage you to take a look at that when you get a chance. Just cruising through here to respect everybody's time. So again, this is the complete streets. So new roads, not gonna get a lot of new roads in the city, but obviously, we gotta put that in there. Substantial improvements, and as I said before, variety of standards and which can be applied. So these graphics here didn't make it into this document here, but they will be in the next draft in that section as amended to provide some general visual understanding of kind of what we're looking for with these improvements. And here we're going to get into some of the density changes in the different zoning districts. So R1, which is your primary residential district on the zoning map, which is not facing you guys, so you can see that. It's pretty much the eastern or the western part of the city. It's historically been more of a suburban style type of development. Houses are pushed way off street, larger lots, wide streets. There are sidewalks in many of the districts, but essentially it's your low density residential district. What we wanted to do is there a way we can gently increase the density, but respect to the existing development pattern there, which is primarily single family homes. There are a variety of locations in there, there's 2, 3, 4 multifamily throughout the existing zoning district, so we did that analysis. Just to kind of get an understanding of what's out there now. So what we're proposing is introducing 2 families. Or an accessory dwelling unit, not both. So property owner can choose. The difference between that is an accessory dwelling unit is limited to about 800 square feet, which is the size of a decent 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, not huge, but a reasonable size. Needs to be smaller than the principal dwelling because it's an accessory structure. But what we wanted to do, recognizing that the current development pattern there should be respected, is you get a choice. You can get an apartment, which you can do, you can tell your basement with no size limitations, has to meet the building code, of course, or an accessory dwelling unit, which could be within your home, an attachment to your home, or a separate unit put in the back. So in that graphic, structural way in the back would be your accessory dwelling unit. And the code includes very specific requirements in terms of setbacks, inspecting your neighbor's properties, the size of it, like I said, the fact that the design and materials, the architecture needs to kind of blend with your existing structure, so it's not some unique looking structure that does not blend at all with the existing character being developed. And we're all, at the same time, we're also maintaining existing minimum lot size and lot area. And so the only thing that we change is maybe have some accessory dwelling units, but also provide an ability to create a duplex or an apartment, which gives the property owners the ability for whether it's a in-law apartment. I got kids that are still living at home. It'd be great if they had their own little apartment. Love them, but sometimes. And provide additional income for that. And I will say the accessory dwelling units, it was important that we make this change, is that they cannot be rented out on a short-term basis. That is prohibited, because that's basically given it away, whereas the theory of the accessory dwelling is essentially you're giving them an extra, so you don't have to have the acreage to have 2-family dwelling here. You have to meet all the setback requirements. Everything else still needs to work out. But we didn't want to give them an additional unit, but then turn around and just short-term rent it. It have to be rented more than 30 days, and also will have to go on to the rental registration as well, so that the building department knows where they are, and inspections will be conducted if need be. Okay, residential historic, so we talked about that district where we carved out the R2 district along Broad Street, the neighborhood commercial around Dukes, and then along Oak Street, the urban connected district. So here we're introducing 2, 3, and 4 family dwellings with the ability of an ADU. We spent a lot of time looking at this area and felt that given the proximity to downtown, the proximity to the college, also recognizing that we're not looking to create, quote unquote, student housing. There are design guidelines that go along with this. So they have to be developed in a way that's consistent with the existing development pattern within this district. We maintained the minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet. So we did cut it in half or reduce the area of dwelling units. So right now, it'd be 1 for every 7,500 square feet, although single family only is allowed there now. Now you get 1 unit for every 3,750. They kind of model that out to get an idea of the build out, but we also have to stress that, this isn't a switch where all of a sudden everybody goes and is going to start building ADUs and constructing apartments because it's not cheap. But the intent here is that we're looking to implement the recommendations from the comprehensive plan and the housing study to provide other opportunities for quality, affordable housing. And the other unique thing we did here for the residential historic district is we looked up and down all the streets, and a lot of the homes, some were right up to the sidewalk, some were pushed way back, some were in the middle. And right now it has an existing setback, I think of 25 feet, maybe 15 feet, something like that. It's rigid. unless you get an area variance. So we felt that it would be important to have a build to area. So it allows, property owners to build right up to the back edge of the sidewalk or move back 15 feet. So you have that area, so that is, gives them flexibility. Maybe to put an ADU in the back or have a bigger front backyard. Or they'd rather have a 15-foot setback with the front yard, so it provides them flexibility, which is like. The big thing that we're looking to do with this code is to give property owners some more flexibility, but it doesn't change the overall character of the neighborhood. And again, all of a sudden, people's home there and start moving, right? So this is, it allows them to put a front porch on, which is another important part of the design guidelines, encouraging those front porches, making major streetscape improvements. But also new construction infill gives them that flexibility that's important. And then central business district, so downtown, where we are right now. So we, for pretty much every one of the districts, we did do an analysis of the existing density using the current zoning law. And within the downtown district, there is a certain special schedule and a set of calculations that you're supposed to use that's based upon the size of the lot. And we did a bunch of modeling, and essentially for a smaller downtown lot, which you can use, these generally fairly small and built out 100%. You get one dwelling unit for every 1,500 square feet, which, you know, right now it's very nebulous, that doesn't really mean. But essentially, when we looked at a lot of the buildings that have apartments above, none of those would be possible under the current zone. You get, you know, not even half of the units right now. So if somebody was to build new on a vacant spot, or a building is destroyed, it's not built within a certain amount of time frame. The current zoning, convert it back to the current zoning law, which means that they would lose the ability to have a significant amount of residential. So we looked at this and we tried to find a happy median, and one dwelling unit for every 600 square feet is consistent with some of the buildings here, and actually a little lower than some of the other buildings. And you know, we have a lot of the background information, and you know, the next meeting going forward, we have to sit down with anybody to kind of go over that. But the intent here is that there's the ability for getting a little bit more density downtown, and also, again, providing the ability for property owners to redevelop the upper floors to residential perhaps, and give them additional units where right now they're fairly limited. And then we're allowing you to go up to 5 stories. And again, that 5th story would have to be stepped back. So right now it's a combination of 2 stories up to 4 stories here. And the idea here, again, is a little bit more flexibility, but also respecting the existing character of development, and having that floor pushed back so it's not as imposing in the streetscape going forward. Next slide, please. Try to speed this up. So here's the design guidelines that we included as well. So there's some very old downtown design guidelines that are out there that were really codified and frankly probably not used very often. And the idea here was we codify some specific regulations. So you know, these drawings that you see here, and they're very kind of blah looking on purpose. So the point here is we're not getting into very specific, you know, colors at this point or certain architectural styles, but it's really the quality of design, the layout, side composition, the scaling and massing to ensure that as infill development happens, whether it's downtown, neighborhoods, your mixed use districts, is that the applicants and the planning board, the city planner have something to go to and say, hey, you know what, we really need to consider these architectural styles. So it's not just a plain building that has no positive qualities. Consistency with the very unique architecture that the city has. Okay, that was a lot. That's certainly not the 66 pages worth, but wanted to respect everybody's time, but highlights of the major changes. So we have a public workshop next week that I'll spend a little bit more time digging into the details of the public.
It's not gonna be here.
This will be here, yeah. Right, 6 o'clock on Thursday. And then at that point, there's still some conversations to be had, with Emily and Andrew and the building department and of course the mayor. Because we're pretty much at a point now where the committee has done pretty much all its work and it's really gonna be the common council. And we have kind of discussed the process, which, whether or not you want to have the document sent to the planning board and reviewed by all the city departments before it's formally introduced as a local law, because once it's introduced as a local law, you begin that process, referring it to the county, having a public hearing, and you begin the state environmental quality review act, the secret process, and then at some point you adoption. And given the amount of time that you spent on this, the amount of changes that are in here, and the length of the document, I encourage you to kind of take the time, not in a hurry, to push this through. You want to make sure everybody's comfortable with it, understands it, and then the planning board having an opportunity to comment on it. We had some planning board members in the committee, but everybody's schedule is very difficult, involved with all our meetings, so you definitely want to get them to their opportunity. And it's really up to the common council whether that happens as part of a formal adoption process or before it's accepted by the council to move forward with the review process. So additional conversations that we can have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have right now. Discuss the process. Forward.
I have one,
Sure.
an urban connector. Can you
Yes.
definition of that?
Right, so the urban connected district is now, currently is your, this is why we changed it, B1. So B1 district, so, Miller, and then South Catherine Street, there's a section there. That's B1, and essentially what that is the, it's a mixed use zone that was created to allow for mixed residential, commercial, light industrial type uses, more corridor oriented. And one major change is just like, we were tired of saying B1, what does that mean? That was pretty one switch. So we decided to call it urban connectors. So that really connects all the neighborhoods in the city into downtown. And that expansion area for the residential historic district would be an urban connector, so that connects that area as well. And there's a few other of those locations. And we didn't really change significantly the uses. The current table allows for residential, but it was really silent on the density. And speaking with the building department, there weren't a lot of projects, but there's a lot of residential uses in those districts. So wanted to bring those into wellness. And then the urban gateway, that would be the Plattsburgh Plaza up on Route 3, and then the Skyway Plaza, and then that corridor going down. And that area historically has been large big box type developments, limited by one principal use per structure. And our recommendation as a group was to allow for additional principal uses, so they can, instead of having to divide up Plattsburgh Plaza, they can develop it as a large scale development, and also allow for heights to go up a couple stories and residential, but only on the second or top floors as a mixed type development. So first floor residential would not be permitted. There are some provisions in here for first floor residential downtown, and in the urban, primarily downtown, where it's beyond 50 feet from the front facade. So there are certain situations where the elevation goes down, there's some residentials back there. We didn't want to prohibit residential on the first floor, but we don't want residential to be right on the street where it's occupying to be a retail or an office space, which provides more activity on the street. And also, we don't want our residential uses coming up the sidewalk, right, when you're doing commercial zone. So that's included there. But the urban gateway, we took a very unique approach to that to incentivize the development of those urban plazas, which are really nice to the style development and allow for more flexibility.
So you're saying that somebody who's got a big lot if they wanted to put house in their backyard, that's gonna become acceptable.
A 800 square foot unit would be permitted, but again, it would have to comply with those setback requirements. And there's a couple pages of regulations
And they're open.
for that, so
Okay,
again, it gives that ability, but. You know, again, it's something where. Expect based on my experience. Working in the field that, you know. It's a major investment, so those one of those get connect all of the infrastructure, there has to be good reason to do that. So not for everybody, you're not gonna see that pop up.
yeah,
Right, so,
yeah.
yeah, it does give you that ability, but again, it's a smaller unit,
Question about historic preservation.
yes.
I know I've had some constituents ask about their ability to change things like the windows in their house, to make them weatherized, but they have to meet the code. Does the changes that you're suggesting, and I know it said that you can take them to the city planner can make some of these minor decisions, does it change the flexibility with which they can grant it, or just that they're the ones doing it?
If, so the update doesn't really reduce the requirements, so it's you still have each all the requirements that you have right now, the decision that the planning board has made, that's not gonna change. Want to make sure that. If you're changing the facade or windows, that it's consistent as possible. with What's there now, but it does, you know, we had conversations about materials, and over the years, materials now look a lot more like they're historic, and it can provide a little bit more flexibility. Recognizing the cost of putting it, wouldn't go on such windows, very expensive. Might have to alternatives. So, we hope that it provides a little bit more flexibility, but at the end of the day, and here is. The nature of those structures. Yeah, questions?
Just going back to, like you said, that coming in on Route 3, Hotbed Plaza, there's a
Yes.
beautiful piece of property in the back there, all these ones.
Yeah.
Now, that's gonna be flexible use now.
Yeah, so under the proposed regulations, you could have, I think it's 2.5 stories, right now it's like a single story, you get 2.5 stories. Possibly you can do it, to go back, there's so much going on.
But I know,
But you have residential,
could that be all residential though, under
you
this
can't, you know,
plan?
not be, it has to be a mixed, but somebody just can't put it in an apartment building. That's the intent, because these areas are originally zoned for commercial use, we want to continue that, but we want to provide opportunities for. Additional residential, activating those spaces, so it's not just commercial, retail. So again, it's not for everybody, the existing structures there. You know, will probably last for many more years, but it does provide opportunities for somebody to redevelop that, and then that location.
Or that location is sale right now, so it's kind of,
Okay.
you know, I'm just kind of looking
Yeah,
forward.
thinking ahead.
It's a great place for housing. It backs up to one of our really nice, you know, up in Brookfield Manor. The backside of that is, connects to Brookfield.
And then if somebody does come in and say, hey, you know. Great place for housing, and the city is like, well, maybe it's worth considering, that's the PUD approach.
I was just considering the flexibility of the new codes.
Right, right.
You know, but
So
it would still be on the bottom floor would have to be, some sort of a business type, and then residential could be the second.
Correct, right, unless you proposed again a PUD.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions from the council?
That's up to you, I mean, about this only,
It's up to you.
I mean, if you save a question later on, so I mean, we have some time if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I don't have a problem.
Work session, so don't.
Right, yeah. Sure, go ahead, please.
So I grew up on Franklin Terrace and Cumberland Avenue. And, the old or the former house pump, I know a couple from the city or downstate bought it. They haven't done anything. I'm a little confused as to, are you saying that they could demolish it and put a different structure that would serve as hospitality? Or are you saying that they could renovate it and use it for hospitality, which I think would be a good fit. And I'm a little unclear on the restrictions, because it does abut some very nice homes that have, that whole area is very quiet. And even though the Alps had functions and it, you know, served as hospitality, it was always within parameters that didn't disturb the neighborhood. So that's one of my questions.
Yeah, so the clarification is, they, right now, somebody can demolish that and build something that's allowed within that district, which is not hospitality use. So if they want to utilize that and put in a boutique hotel, they have to preserve that. There are some provisions in the draft law that allows for some minor demolition to allow expansion for that floor. But the most part. Many improvements have to be consistent, you know, architectural style. There is an extension out there that clearly did not respect the architectural style, so the encourage there to maybe help prove that. So it gives that flexibility. And then the provisions, again, we spent a lot of time, and there's a lot of historical knowledge here about the happenings at the Alphabet Club and the certain sectors were and the predictions that would play. Try to mirror those, if not, having them be a little bit more restricted. Such as that you can't set anything out by the water, you can't be playing music, if there's outdoor dining that's built on the back, you have to have soundproof walls that protect those neighbors. Limits on outdoor, really no outdoor music for the most part, limited outdoor amplification.
And lighting.
And lighting too, yes, so the lighting would just be that location and throughout the lighting requirements in the code too apply everywhere where, you know, some of the lighting should go into the street or your neighbor's property as well. So we spend a lot of time to come up with an approach that we feel is workable and respects the neighborhood, but provides a path to utilizing that in a way that.
Okay, the other questions are for you.
Sure.
I live at 17 Couch, it's a duplex, I have a barn in the back. The lot size, I'm not sure of lot size, but let's say it's smaller than 7,500 square feet, then I wouldn't be able to convert that barn into and just 100 square foot unit, right?
If you're, so you're in the RH district.
I mean, RA.
Yeah.
I'm at the lower end, I'm at the edge of the house that abuts to this new urban corridor or connector.
So I have to go back and look to see if you have, I know we are one district, you have to have the minimum lot size. Where that should be allowed you. I think in the RH district, you might have the ability to.
Because the only reason I ask is because that section is now abutting the urban connector, which
Okay.
is Oak Street. And kind of it's a mixed bag there because we're been knowing to have people move into the area and keep the homes as families instead of converting it to all housing or rentals. But on the other side, there are a few properties that have a time, for example, that has, and maybe the only one actually, and that has a barn at the end or already an existing accessory structure.
Yes, you already have, you have a 2-family dwelling on that. It was close to 500 square feet. You would be ineligible at the right to have. But you could theoretically seek an area.
Right.
And
And if,
then I'll set back to you. So parking space and meet up setbacks.
okay, that's what I thought. And what is the parking requirement for if somebody is able to convert that extra structure or build an accessory unit? And they can only have one 800 square foot accessory structure.
You taking you on a lot, like one of you a lot, we had one more room space.
And it could be a 2-bedroom as opposed to a 1-bedroom,
Great.
but you're at the max of 2 bedrooms. You could, if you had enough square footage in that accessory structure, another property on that 34 Broad, as a city farm, I wouldn't be able to convert that to a two bedroom, if you have enough physical space, that's my point. And I have no square footage, I have like 20,000 square feet of open space.
Yeah, so if you have the acreage, I mean, you could put it, you know, you could put it to unit. And then the parking requirements for resident. So, for the most part, it's just an ADU, so whether it's just 2 bedroom or you get 3 small bedrooms in there, still, you're still doing it.
Or you, or it's
It's 30.
800 square feet.
Right, right.
Okay. And how does that urban connector, does it impact that RH attached street district at all?
The intent is that it would not, so anything that happens there, in these respects. There are some provisions in the code, there. Commercial use, the resident use, setbacks are provided. Required. But for the most part, particularly the urban connector. Occasionally from residential store. You know, that's a fairly intensive use area where you have multiple different uses, you know, a lot of them non-conforming. So that went into our thinking that if they kind of already have intensive uses there, let's modify that and then put in protections for the.
So the purpose is that the trying to protect that RH access, right, without things work so hard to.
Right, could also provide a, you know,
Right.
new urban connector area, provides up properties that are right. And institutions design requirements, but I think those areas too. So there's that additional layer of protection.
Well, let me make sure I understand. So Cow Street, if there was a house on Cow Street and they wanted to convert it to commercial use. It would or would not be permitted.
Not under, there are some neighborhood scale type uses that are permitted and already. And, you know.
That's commercial.
Pardon?
That's commercial.
Yeah, in the RH district, the current RH district. By some neighborhood services, the new one as well, provide for offices. Etc. But we can go ahead and say over
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank everyone.
Oh, a quick question, sorry if you had covered this at the beginning, sorry, but. When you found this project, how much of a model was the building? Because the chopping out of the plazas we mentioned, I looked at the Oval as great success. I was being saying years ago, when people weren't just that. The Oval is a great story, you know, some were houses, some were apartments, some were offices, brewery, jail. So I didn't know that, you know, you might not have those before times 50 years ago, but how much of that was, you know, being used as a model?
The Oval itself, I mean, it's a very unique area, so. The only major change there is we changed the name. So right now, that area is hard to residential. Recreation, commercial. Which means not anybody, we have ours, we want our two. So the Oval itself is R23, which is owned by the city along with the bike path along the lake. Inland of that, Lionsville is allowed for you to meet a combination of residential, etc. Based primarily on the original layout of the old days. Okay, so we really have to think about this.
Oh, I wasn't thinking they changed.
It really
learned or what, oh, you want to.
Yeah, we didn't, I honestly, I don't think we utilize that, I don't think, because it is so unique. That if we result, we just wanted to make sure we didn't mess things up. You know, we kept pretty much kept saying one location, that was R2 that we brought into the new, and that is all now the Lakeshore Heritage Area. To make sure that those uses were consistent with the laws. Certainly something else. So that we just wanted to keep. Not really mess with that. but provide some additional flexibility, going forward. So. Good question.
Hey, didn't know you were gonna get tested tonight, did you?
Oh, I know.
How's that? No, listen, I appreciate you coming up and taking that to answer to the questions. So,
Absolutely.
and thank you for doing this. This was I think it was awesome. It was good for me, so hopefully everybody else does. the same.
Can't wait to delve into some of this, not
Yeah,
all of it. but some.
And so I'll update through, I'm doing annually with you, Mayor, and we'll, actually Thursday is still on, we're gonna do that, but the next steps we'll coordinate. What works best for the.
Come up on the 25th, we're doing trunk or treat downtown too. So,
I don't
a
know.
little plug, Emma, see that?
Yeah.
Get a plug in for you.
I don't mind, Brett, it was a beautiful drive.
Okay.
Do you want me to move that for you?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Fine.
I'll let him get his stuff out now a little bit.
Anybody got any questions about tonight's agenda?
I have,
Okay.
they're
We
not
have a
really,
brief
it's not,
executive session, so we just have to,
oh,
go ahead.
never mind.
No, go. No, I want you, you know,
Actually, this is for Dave. Can I ask Dave? I can ask Dave.
yeah.
Sorry, Dave, tag you're it. The library pollinator garden, what is that? Since he's not, Ben's not here.
Library's right there.
Oh, hi, sorry, hi.
Dave, I saved you, buddy.
What is,
Oh, yes.
With cooperative extension, and once they did the new stairs, ramp, there was a garden area in front.
uh-huh,
And so, with help, from them, they put in a pollinator garden, and we got, some grant money towards it to, for the plants, for some gardening pool. And we're working on getting signage to describe what the plants are that are there.
that is so awesome, that.
I love that.
My heart. That is so
What were
cool.
you gonna say?
Awesome.
We've got a lot of
Just-
compliments on just how from the library, just how we can do stairs and ramp and.
That is fantastic. Chief Trombley, you know I pick on you every time.
I think there's some edging that's going on, but.
I went to the HOA at Lake Country, we know how much. It's awesome. Is there any way? Documentation wise that we can prove that you guys are over there? I know you are, I've already gone over a couple of times and miraculously, the cars, I mean, I see them. Short of taking pictures every time I see one, and I'm not gonna do that, so.
I'm assuming that this is about traffic.
They're just asking, when I brought it up, I went to the HOA on Monday night and they bring it up all the time. But this time they brought it up and I said, I asked them, has anybody seen any increase? Because I have over there. And I had a lot of no's. And I'm like, they're over. So I'm wondering if there's any way, is there
So-
anything we can,
Was it concerned speeding more so?
no,
than
no,
anything, or
just at least.
just a presence?
So no, if we're just patrolling, there's no documentation that we would initiate. If there's a traffic stop, there would be
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
a blotter would be punched for
Yeah.
that stop. Or a specific detail. So if someone's running speed on New York Road, like if I was in a marked car and I wanted to monitor the speed on New York Road, I would sit there for a time,
yeah,
whatever that time might be, until the next call, or maybe I provided an hour, but that is not documented in a blotter.
yeah, They're not
The
saying-
the shift knows that, but it's not documented unless it's a traffic stop.
yeah. They're not saying, I mean, they are saying that
Thank you.
they're speeding, but that's everywhere. So, I mean, that's not any new news. They're just saying that they are not seeing as much police presence as I am talking up, and I would like to prove to them that it is.
Off the top of my head, I don't, so that would be considered zone,
A zone issue, yeah,
right? So that's a zone, so I can look at the proactive stuff officers are doing that are assigned that zone. I'm sorry, that's zone 3, that's not,
yeah.
that's
I
not.
mean, we've told, I mean.
So I can look at that and
see
provide that in an email as
Yeah.
feedback. But just presence alone, driving through and observing, no, that's not documented in the way that I can extract.
I mean, we got the email a couple weeks ago that one of the businesses on that side of town was left open.
I
One
know,
of the,
I
one of the
know.
guys,
I brought it up
ladies,
and I told
one of
them
the-
that.
yeah, one of the patrols actually found the door unlocked, called the owner, and the owner ran in and locked his store. They forgot to lock it on the way home.
He sits on the board.
So,
I
yeah,
told him that. He said,
Right. I mean, that's pretty much proof somebody's, and they're walking it too. They're not
I
just
know.
driving it, which I think is awesome.
We're out there.
Okay.
For sure.
It's, I know that. Okay. I'll just take a picture. See, they're sheep.
To document that would
Yeah, that's,
be quite burdensome because it would start talk about every
oh my,
nook and
yeah,
cranny in the city or, you know, you go Brookfield, man, it would be difficult to do.
okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Sure.
I know. We have to go.
All right, there's no other questions about tonight's agenda. I want to make sure that's the most important thing we have right now. No other questions. All right, I'm gonna. What is it for? It's, okay, I'd like to request a executive session for an update on ongoing litigation. Could I have a motion? Moved by Councilor Barnes, second Councilor Evans. Roll call.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Counselor Evans,
Yes.
Counselor Stratt,
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette,
Yes.
Counselor Pauline.
Yes.
All right, this big one. Here we go.
Yeah, they're all. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh.
Let's check through these. I'm not sure that we had finalized. Downstairs.
Oh. She knows you'll talk.
It's not anyone else.
Do you want me to give you my phone, Emma? Okay, thank you. Were you?
Take a motion to come out of executive session where there was no action taken. First, Counselor Evans, second, Counselor Colleen, roll call.
Counselor Bond?
Yes.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Stratt?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Colleen?
Yes.
Call an end to the work session. Call the regular meeting of the Common Council to order. Well, we gotta do that first. You always holler at me.
Sorry.
I have feelings too.
Keep going.
All right, the city of Plattsburgh holding a public hearing to hear public comments on my proposed budget for 2026 for the city of Plattsburgh. I entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Counselor Evans, second. Counselor Manette. Roll call.
Counselor Bond?
Yes.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Stratt?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Colleen?
Yes.
Mayor, there's no one here that signed in to speak in
No
the
one,
public session.
sure, you don't want to speak at this?
It's for the budget.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, going once, twice, no one here to speak on the public hearing for the budget. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. Counselor Bond, second, Counselor Evans, roll call.
Counselor Bond?
Yes.
Counselor Evans?
Yes.
Counselor Stratt?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Colleen?
Please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Carlin, can you do the roll, please?
Mayor Hughes,
Here.
Counselor Vaughn,
Here.
Counselor Evans,
Here.
Counselor Strack,
Here.
Counselor Talon. Here. Counselor Manette,
Here.
Counselor Colleen.
Yes.
Here, you're supposed to.
Here.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on October 2nd, 2025 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Counselor Evans, second Counselor Saleen. Roll call.
Counselor Vaughn,
Yes.
Counselor Evans,
Yes.
Counselor Strack,
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette,
Yes.
Counselor Colleen.
Yes.
Anyone here for public comment this evening? Sir?
My name is Ben Martin. I live on Aiken Courts in Plattsburgh. Just wanted to come and comment on the fact that I think Plattsburgh has done a good job for the past decade or so installing electric car chargers around the city. I'm using one outside right now for my Prius. There's another Prius there also using it at the farmers market down the street in the parking lot there. So it's shown a good commitment, and as most of you, I hope, are aware, there's a climate change plan for the city. That part of the thing in that plan that can be taken advantage of is what came out yesterday, and I hope that your departments are aware, is that there is DEC funding now available for electric vehicles and charging stations for municipalities. Basically up to 5 million for municipalities for the chargers, and like I think up to $500,000 to buy new vehicles for municipalities to do this. And this is an important next step in the plan to address climate change, but not also save the city a bunch of money. As the DEC commissioner said, the federal government continues to roll back funding and support climate action and federal tax credits for electric vehicles purchased that expire at the end of September. New York's ZEV program continues to provide critical support to municipalities to make it more affordable to green their fleets, reduce fuel costs, decrease emissions, and save taxpayers money. And I hope that all your departments are aware of this and are following the plan that this council put forward to make new purchases of vehicles be either low emissions or no emissions. And I would say that even if there is a life cycle for a vehicle that a department is using that is not at its end, it is advantageous to take care of use these grants that are available now, because this money might not be available later. And replacing them sooner also saves us, the city, a bunch of money on fuel that we don't have to pay for. And we all know that the cost of fuel is going up all the time, very volatile and hard to predict, while as being a municipality with its own electric company, we can more control the cost of electricity. And so even if we don't have a vehicle that is scheduled to be replaced, it's advantageous for us to look at replacing those using these grants, because the state will be giving us money to do this. These are first come, first served basis. So if other municipalities want to use these, we may lose the chance to if we don't take advantage of them now. So I would just like to encourage the city to continue its record of taking climate action and saving people money by using electric vehicles and replacing our fleet with electric vehicles as soon as possible, even before the life cycle of those vehicles are over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John?
Oh. You were right, that I will say something.
We look forward to it every time, Jonathan.
For the record, Jonathan Curella, 22 Cornelia Street. So it was great to hear in the work session the presentation by Mr. Rogers of Smart Code. It's something I've kept up with, and well, not as good as I should have because I was a little late today, but I do know about the project, and I like that many of the things said. One thing I would briefly mentioned was that the complete streets thing you mentioned, there were two different slides near the end. I like the first one because when it comes to any of this, you've heard me, I rant like, oh, this should be great, way past everywhere, but I know that we have to sometimes choose. Sometimes Complete Streets tries to like do it all. So if you search that online, you're gonna see, oh, we have a 100-foot street that all people can cross in 10 seconds. And it's like, oh, we got this lane, and sometimes it just can't. But you know, that's why I have to choose sometimes. Okay, this street is for this, that's for that. So I saw both sides. I was like, oh, that's two different schools of complete streets, and that's a word I would like to use, but whatever. But I like how previously, just now, Ben Martin had commented on the availability of funds. What I wanted to mention is something actually related to the state as well. New York State has had a bill that stalled two legislative sessions ago. It stalled in both the Senate and the Assembly. It's been reintroduced again, so it's still live, but it's just in the Senate. It's on the land value tax. This has been brought forward by Rachel May, Senator, New York State Senate from the 40th District, which is mostly Syracuse. And this is something that I don't want to really see die, and I think that we can fight for it because the text of the bill as it is now is it's not going to change anything. It's not going to mandate anything. It's going to allow up to 5 municipalities. So maybe you want to be one of them to allow them to do the land value tax. And as I know, the mayor's been working on the taxation and the budget, making all this work. And I see, our biggest obstacle is not really nonprofits or the churches. It's really a lot of commercial real estate is taken up by parking lots. Land value tax says, okay, who's going to face the burden? Homeowners or people with large lots? And if you're going to have a large lot in prime downtown area, are you making enough money to justify the taxes we're going to start charging you for that? Because that is prime downtown. And that's what I think taxes should be, like where it is not discouraging people from making improvements. We don't want to do that. So land value tax, it's Senate 1131A as an alpha. It's only adding an option. There's no removal or changing of any text in the New York State Constitution. It's only that this has been done to great success in Pennsylvania with Harrisburg in 1992 and Allentown since 1994. They moved to this and it made people who just buy stuff like the Elks Lodge just mentioned earlier, like, hey, you want to buy this and do nothing with it? Well, too bad, because now your tax rates are going to go up. So if you can't do anything with it, you better sell to somebody who will do something with it. And it has worked. So I think it's cool. And if we know anybody in high places, Senate like, oh, Senate 1131A, 1131A. Yeah. Seems like it'd be a cool opportunity because I'd like to see us have more successes and say, hey, guess what? Property owners, homeowners, your taxes are going down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great sentiment too. I like that.
Jonathan, can you send it to me?
Yes, is there a certain email?
Just
Send it to me, I'll get it. from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough. How's that, Dave? I'll get it
Thank
to you. I'll send it to the council so everybody can look at it. Anybody else for public comment this evening? Any special committee reports, climate smart?
We had our meeting last.
We have?
Thank you, Beth.
Council approved payrolls of the various departments in the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending October 15th, 2025, in the amount of $658,380.21, and the council approved bills audited by the common council for the weeks ending October 10th, 2025, in the amount of $2,189,410.36, and October 17th, 2025, in the amount of $462,426.06.
Now it's my turn. Liaison, any climate task force? Updates?
Yeah, so we had our meeting last night. Actually, Ben was there, so thank you for coming in tonight, Ben. We're gonna have our next meeting November 19th at 5 o'clock at the library. And just we're really looking forward on moving forward on the food scraps collection thing. So we're hoping that we can get some conversations rolling to get that started by springtime, if we can figure that out. So that's all I have to report.
Do you have locations picked out for food scraps?
Not
Or-
yet.
Somebody could ask that.
We have to first get service, and then we get the equipment to go with it, and then we figure out where to. So we gotta get some conversations rolling.
Anything from the library, Councilman?
I was gonna talk about the pollinator garden. No, I'm good.
Chuck, you good? Okay,
Item 7.217, authorized healthcare plan renewal.
move by. Counselor Bond and second, Counselor Stratt. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Colleen. Yes. Carried. Item 7.218, authorized mayor to sign final claim documents, claim number IS 0 PM 23-12190.
Move by Counselor Colleen, second, Counselor Bond. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Colleen.
Yes.
Carried. Item 7.219, travel request, police department.
Moved by Counselor Manette, second, Counselor Talon. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Colleen. Yes. Carried. Item 7.220, authorizing settlement of property assessment cases filed by Walgreens, Eastern CO. RAD Plattsburgh property.
Moved by Counselor Colleen, second, Counselor Bond. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Carried. Item 7.221, authorized budget adjustment parking plan.
Moved by Counselor Colleen, second, Counselor Bond. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Colleen. Yes. Carried.
Any new business come before the council this evening?
I just want to say thank you, guys. We all wore pink to show our support for this horrendously horrible disease of breast cancer. Means a lot to me. There's unfortunately a lot of cancer in my family, and breast cancer took my mother-in-law very early. My sister-in-law suffers from the ailment, and this was very meaningful that you guys stood behind me and showed the solidarity that you did. So thank you guys. Even Justin did. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Remind us next year. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
They're two very good friends,
And if you
like
could-
right
if-
now, so.
If you could just stay 1 minute after the meeting, 2 minutes, maybe, 2, okay, 2. Just get a picture. I just want a picture to show that, you know.
Any other new business come before this council? I will then entertain a motion with them. First, Counselor Bond, second, Counselor Evans. Roll call.
Counselor Bond.
Yes.
Counselor Evans.
Yes.
Counselor Strack.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Colleen.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.